Victor, what's happening?
Ed, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, we did the broadcast so early last month, and we're kind of towards the tail end.
Yeah,
it feels like it's been a while.
I actually kind of missed you, Ed.
No, you didn't. Don't be lying. Don't be lying. What's going on?
Not much.
Hey, in the chat, I didn't post mine in there, but in the chat, what do you got going on for 4th of July weekend that's coming up here? Coming up pretty soon with that 4th of July falling on a Friday, which is great for the working folks.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Let me see. I just got back. I told you from a big event. So we had 3 speakers.
Yeah.
We had. I got to meet Eric Warrior for the second time. John Dorenbos, which was an incredible presentation, and then Ed Milet. If you know Ed Milet, Ed Milet's a really nice guy. So we had a chance to kind of hang out in the back. I got to introduce him the whole bit. Nice guy.
I've shared this with these folks out there on one of my Ed Talks about Ed Milet, and when I go home from work, I leave my phone in the car for an hour. I just leave it there.
Okay.
So I don't. When I'm home, right? And it's just kind of that message about work-life balance and all that. So just that little hack I stole from him off a video I saw.
No, his presentation. I mean, his presentation was well received. First of all, he's like built like just a train. And then, did you know he has his own island?
I did not know he had his own island.
I go, he starts talking about, here's my island. I'm like, I'm sure it's probably like maybe 10, 20 acres, and that's the island. But I'm like, how cool, because he took a picture of him over the I guess looking over the ocean. And I'm like, how nice must that be?
That's pretty
cool. It's really cool.
Those speakers that come and do that and tell you how much money they got, they kind of turn me off a little bit sometimes.
Well, he didn't talk about money. He's just like, here's my island. By the way, he wrapped the story in there about some eagles. That was very interesting. I won't spoil it, but nice guy, super nice guy.
Cool. Anything else happening?
That's it.
No, so like 4th of July is the Mama Donahue holiday.
Is the Mama okay?
And Nana, it's required. They can miss Christmas, they can miss Thanksgiving, they can miss any other holiday, but July 4th, that weekend, those days, they will be on Lake Erie.
Okay.
So we'll get the whole gang together.
Oh, nice.
We live in a wooden tent up there on the lake in the summertime. Only in the summer when it's not heated. But there are
it's like this 5-decker log cabin, something like that.
we sleep about 20 people in there, and you're crammed in there like sardines.
Oh, man.
But there's about 15 cottages in the little area, and they do the coolest thing. The little kids on the 4th of July, starting about 9:30. They do the old-fashioned races, the sack races, running with the spoon and the egg on it.
Oh my God, you don't see that anymore.
Oh, they do it all, and it's really cool that like one of the dads walks them all up to the flag, and he's a Marine Corps vet, and he raises the flag with them. They do the Pledge of Allegiance. Then they come back, and everybody there, all the parents that are watching, sing the Star Spangled Banner. It's just an incredible throwback event.
Yeah, you're making me nostalgic there, man. That sounds cool.
So if you're doing something for 4th of July, put it in the post. Maybe it's a parade, maybe it's something, maybe it's a picnic, maybe it's a barbecue, fireworks. Throw that in the chat so we can see what you all are doing.
Let me see. Chris Watering says, I'm working on my boat.
Well, you should get the boat in the water, Chris, not be working on it.
What did I say about a boat? The 2 happiest days.
Easy now, easy.
About having a boat is the day you get it and the day you sell it.
Everybody says that, but I disagree. I get a lot of joy out of our little boats.
I'm sure there's a lot of
Somebody's
memories.
going fishing. Fireworks for sure.
Jason Sagar is grilling and chilling. I like that with the fam.
Yeah.
I love that.
Making money for the OC3. I'm Matt Frey. He's outside. He'll be working that day. OC3 is wide open that day.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, about OC3, I'm going to talk some numbers in a minute. First $2 million day yesterday.
What?
So $2 million in residential pest control yesterday.
Wow. First time ever.
No, not first time ever. First time this year.
This
year. So they'll string a bunch of those together with the way the weather's going this week. How about the weather? Is it hot or what?
Oh, it's hot, man. Pavel Sitar says, hanging out with the kids. It's my kid's birthday. Nicely done.
Don Spadali's going to boil something.
Boil something.
He can boil something up down there. Probably some shrimp or some of them.
Carl Zacharias has the right spirit. Celebrating our independence.
Amen.
I like
Super
that.
cool.
I
Who do you
like
see
that.
out there? See a lot of teams there together as groups, which I love. I see Kirk Anderson's got his team. Terry's got his team in there. Montero's got his team in there. Who else? Team Greenville. Team Greenville's always in the house.
By the way, I see Jimmy Pigron. I'm gonna get that. Pigron. How do you say his name?
Yeah, we're going to talk about him.
Yeah.
Pigron.
How do you say?
I call him Jimmy.
Jimmy P.
Let's call him Jimmy.
Jimmy
P.
Jimmy P. What's up? I see you, Jimmy P.
What else? Who else you see out there, man? Team Tyler's in the house. Look at this.
Mark, I'm going to screw this name up. A gum bar. Did I get that, Mark? Come on, am I close, Mark? Just give me a thumbs up if I'm close, man. Kirk Anderson, stop fidgeting with your hands, man.
Mike McCall's in the house. Dave Bernstein's in the house. Look at him showing that big wall of plaques there.
Yeah, Carlos Ortiz. It's always great to see your fluorescent lights. Nobody really wants to see
There's
the fluorescent lights,
there's
man.
Jeff Steele. Jeff Steele in April from OC3.
Is he?
They were
Okay.
part of that record-setting $2 million day
Let me
yesterday.
see. Let me see. Let me flick through this.
Who else?
We got Brand 7. Did you talk about Brand 775? We got Brand 775 out
This is
there.
awesome. Mike
Yeah.
Sarr, you got everybody blurred, man. Let me see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, who else we got there?
And let me see. We got Noel Pad. That's your last name. Noel Pad. That's your last name.
Yeah, some of y'all got to figure out how to change your name on your iPad when you sign in so we can tell who you are. Let's get going maybe, huh?
Let's do it.
Let's get going. Let's share some numbers for May. Not stellar, but okay. I'll give it that, Victor. How's
Yeah.
that sound? So let's
Very
start out with...
motivational. That's how it
Yeah,
sounds.
very, very motivational. You know, we got a little bit of work to do, but the good news is we're off to we're closing out a very good June so far. So residential pest control sale. Let's start there in May, and let's start with the OC3. Jeff and April and that team and Timmy Tarantello. They were 6% over last year. Just a really strong performance. Although again, a little bit of a miss from where they're tracking year to date. Year to date, OC3 residential pest control sales are up double digits. They're up 10% over last year. Going to our residential field sales, again, that's about 30% of the total residential pest control sales that are sold in the company are sold by the field reps, be it the Orkin Pros or our HSIs that are sitting out there in the audience. We had a big miss there. We were down 8% year over year in the month of May. Yeah, there was one less day in May, but that doesn't account for an 8% miss, so we got to fix that. Year to date, residential pest control sales for our field folks are up 1%. Pulling it all together as a collective, month of May we had a 2% sales increase, and sitting year to date at 7.5% over last year in residential PC sales. Victor, the total is $131 million.
Yeah.
I mean, just crazy good. Just
It's
crazy
a lot
good.
of money. It's
Just-
a lot of money. I know.
Just nuts.
It's funny how everything becomes relative after a while, right?
Yeah.
But in and of itself, isolated by itself, it's a great number.
Amen. And,
Yep.
and you think about we're gonna start now to stack these $2 million days and
Yeah.
these 1.5s, and
Yeah.
you know my guess is with the way the weather's going around, we'll throw another $2 million up today.
Okay.
No pressure, Jeff and April, but the expectation is you will bring another $2 million day in. And what that does for these folks on the call, primarily most of the folks on the call, that just gives them more places to go.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
chasing the new starts and all that kind of stuff. That is the, I guess, the lifeblood of the HSI. Going out and visiting those
Those are
customers.
great numbers, man.
Yeah, really good, really good. Mosquito sales year to date are up 13%. We've got $30 million in mosquito sales as a company through I guess 5 months. You know, as we sit here, just amazing efforts.
Yeah.
Let's focus now on what these folks do most of, Victor, and that's termite sales and termite related. Again, not a stellar month, but you know we kind of held our own. We got a little bit of work to do, and we're off to a little better start now. Traditional termite in the month of May was down 1% year over year, so that's a bit concerning. Year to date, our traditional drill it and fill it termite is up about 3% year over year. Moving into the bait sales, great news on the bait front. I think it kind of got jump started with the folks at OC3 starting to sell a bunch of bait over the phone. Our bait sales for the month of May were up 13.5% year over year. That's the best month we've probably had in a year with termite bait sale increase. So that's really encouraging.
Okay.
Looks like that program's starting to take hold, and we're starting to figure out all the bumps and the bruises that come along with launching a new initiative like that. Year to date, bait sales are up 3%. Our ancillary sales, for the first time in a while, were under double digits. In the month of May, we were about 9% increase over last year. Still sitting at 20% year-over-year increase in ancillary sales, Victor, through the first 5 months. Rolling it all together at the bottom of the page, you know, when you look down, total termite sales for the month of May were up 6% year-over-year. Again, simply we're a little bit shy of tracking that, you know, that 10%, that double digit that we've been clocking for the first 4 or 5 months. And we got to get that picked up. Again, I'll lay on that. You know, it was really crappy weather. And you're not allowed to talk about weather and leads here. Gary Rollins would come out and knock me out right now if I said that. But I did say it. And it was 1 day less. And 1 day is 5% of a month, right? So we got it back this month. So we got to bring it back in. Year to date, termite sales for the company are up 11% year over year. $179 million worth of termite related revenue.
Hot dog.
Has been sold by the majority of that business is sold by these folks here. Getting to the profit, we're getting, so I'm in this blackout period where I can't talk about profit and all that kind of stuff. And, because we'll have our earnings call and we'll close out the quarter here. So just to give you an idea, I can't give you any numbers, but our profit, we had a slight miss in May, but year to date, we're on profit plan, healthy increase to last year.
Okay.
Uncle Pat's happy, everybody's happy, Jerry's happy, Ken's
That's
happy.
all you can say is healthy.
That's all I can say, because if Gary Rollins made a statement one time, they got places for people that talk about numbers before they come out.
Yes.
It's called jail.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
And I don't want to go to jail. So,
I gotcha.
so just outstanding performance. coming off the backs of the record-breaking 100K club we had last month with 73 folks.
Right.
We followed that up with 68 folks, Victor, that got paid on over $100,000. So we should maybe go to
the video.
The video and celebrate the 4th a bit.
Great list. Hold it. By the way,
What?
I called it.
What?
I am responsible for Lindsay DeLon's success.
You-
I identified her early on. I said, Ed, there's your rising star. I think I told you this. We'll have to go back to a couple of broadcasts. But I'm telling you, Ed, I picked her out.
I think you're full of, you know what?
Congratulations, Lizzie.
How
Great
about
numbers.
that? I mean, she got paid on $271,000.
Yikes.
Victor, she sold 515. She sold $515,000 in May.
Yeah.
In May.
Wow. What was her backstory? There was a backstory. Remember?
Well, she was the nurse, remember? And she wanted to make everybody feel good.
Yeah.
She's tried to quit a couple times, which is just crazy.
But wasn't she hasn't been around that long, has she?
No, maybe a year. I met her the first time down here.
Right.
She was coming through a branch manager training program.
Right.
And she was a branch manager down there for a while. And she said, I think I'm going to move into sales. And, Don Spadali and Jimmy and Jamie slid her into sales.
Become a little badass. Just, we'll see what happens.
It's crazy. I already punched her ticket to the REC trip, all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But sold set the record, sold more business than any Orkin salesperson ever has in a year.
Just killed Hassan Corpaz. Just murdered him.
Oh my God.
All right.
Hassan, by the way, is still #1 in the company, Victor, before you get all mouthy.
My man.
Hey, just real quick, we got a coin here, right?
Yeah.
So Jimmy Pegron,
one
of the RSMs, he and Don Spadali kind of run the sales show there.
Thank you, Jimmy, man. Got the coin.
In the Gulf States.
Look at that
We
number.
got a coin here. It says, I'm going to read this to you, Victor.
Yep.
It says company record.
Yep.
Company record, May 2025. And on the back,
Yes.
it says the Gulf States region.
Yep.
3,504,131 in termite sales. That's just like
Bam.
drop
Bam.
the mic.
I
drop
would like to say that he sent a nice thank you letter.
He did.
And, I think he's the only one that's ever sent us something like this.
No, he's not
Thank
the
you,
only
Jimmy.
one. But
Yes,
again,
you are, Jimmy. Jimmy,
we
you
talk
are
all
the
the
only
time
one.
about handwritten thank you notes.
Well
Got
done,
one
man.
from Jimmy. This
Thank
will
you
go
for
in
the
my
note.
drawer.
Yeah,
Are you sending handwritten thank you cards
By the
to
way-
all your sales?
By the way, there's a funny part in my card.
What's it say in yours? I'm not gonna-
No, I'm
mine
not
was
gonna say what it
personal.
says. But he wrote it this way,
Yeah.
and then he says, "Dang, I wrote it upside down."
Yeah, Victor, Jimmy's on the call, so Jimmy, I'm gonna.
Did
He
the
says,
same
"Of
thing?
course, I wrote it upside down."
Oh, there you
So, Jimmy, come on now,
Come on, man.
get better at this.
Get better, man.
No, just him and Don and Jamie down there with that record-setting March
That's
month.
amazing.
The folks in Virginia are coming back after you. I can promise you that. Stephen
Yeah.
Jones and Brad Ray and that group down there, they are not going to sit by and let you hang on to their record very long.
Yeah. B. Worth is in there again.
All the time. So there
Yeah.
were seven individuals from Gulf states that made the list.
Okay.
And there were 7 individuals from Virginia. So the big dogs are banging
Okay.
heads, and
Okay.
you know there's a really good chance that you may see a contest between those 2 big dogs.
Love it.
for the month of July.
Love it.
What else you see on there?
Rodney Jones.
Rodney Jones.
Is it true that he was a boxer?
Oh yeah, very good boxer.
Rodney Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like a boxer. I
don't know if he's on this call.
I think he might have even held a title at one time. I mean,
Rodney Jones?
He's one of them bad dudes, man.
man.
You don't
Buy,
mess with him.
buy termite company. Just buy.
No, I don't think he does it that way.
Sorry, my bad.
He doesn't
my
do
bad.
it that way.
I took it too
you
far.
talk about it. I would not want to get a throat punch from Rodney
Yeah.
Jones. I'll tell you that much. Who else you see on there? Bunch of the regulars, right? I mean,
yeah.
at 68, it's kind of hard to mention.
Alexandra Nikolai is there.
Absolutely.
Who else is on there?
So a couple new ones I'm going to shout out, for, at least in my opinion. Ryan Callison out of Key West. Justin Coleman out of up the road here in Athens, Georgia. Tina Carpenter. What's going on in New Orleans? We got 3 gals in New Orleans. Lindsay, Tina Carpenter, and there's another one on here, Brittany Watson, out of New Orleans.
Wow.
So there's like $1 million in sales out of New Orleans
nice.
last month.
Nolans.
Out of the 3 ladies that are
Nolans.
they split the branch. No, I say it
Nolans.
wrong.
Yeah.
Just outstanding. Who else?
Have we ever seen Skylar?
Yeah,
Cole?
Skylar Cole's been there a bunch of
Okay.
times.
Well done.
Ethan
Congratulations.
Mason, a new name out of Pensacola.
We got Jamira Robinson.
Yeah, she runs with Jason Bushy all the time. They're both.
Okay.
You know, they kind of
Great
do a lot of
names.
team selling.
Aaron Askin. Do you know that person? Ohio.
I do. Very good.
Yeah,
Very good.
you got
she
it in
ran in
Ohio.
Pittsburgh for a while.
Yeah.
Another lady. There's like 7 or 8 ladies on here. Not to
What
go
is
that way.
going on?
But
And
get
by
after
the
it.
way, the OC3, I've not seen this name before. Nora Owens.
That is
That's
a new name.
That's a new
That
name.
is a new name. Them other ones on there. Teresa.
Shannon.
Shannon.
You bore me, Mobley, because you keep doing well. Shannon McKay.
Yeah, they go ahead. They go back and forth all the time.
Gary Frano, Juan Felix. Yeah, but Nora Owens is new.
Just
Nicely
crazy.
done. But
Couple-
man, by the
couple
way,
new
just
ones.
acknowledge that by Teresa Mobley. Look at that number. Almost
300.
300.
Again,
almost 350.
That's started business. That's just not sold. That's business
That's
that
amazing.
gets started.
They're amazing.
A couple other rookies. Shantez Watts out of Hampton, Virginia. And Doug Bissett's back on the list. He sent me a note. Doug transferred from South Bend up to Maryville, so they had to combine his numbers. It was kind of crazy,
Okay.
but we got it all figured out. But yeah, just
Nice.
George Johnson looks to be a new name for me, and Jesse Gonzalez out of Austin Residential.
Jesse.
Just phenomenal performance, right?
Yep.
And just more to get after.
Yeah, big shout out again to Lindsay, man, for being number 1. That's a big number there.
Yeah,
half a million.
She sold $500,000. Wow. $500,000. So yeah, she's obviously going to be on the. I didn't check her production so far, but she's going to have another couple $100,000 a month. But if you think about it, we had 4 folks over $200,000, and I always like to do the math for the folks out there in the field.
Do it.
$200,000 times 14%, folks, is a pretty healthy paycheck.
Yeah. John Gillespie reminds us that Jesse hit 100,000 his first month also.
There you go. Outstanding.
Great numbers, man.
What else is happening?
Congratulations.
All right, so let's it's that time of year that I always I get a little nervous.
Okay.
Because the inbound leads start to slow down. And we haven't had a great inbound lead year anyway, right? And these folks don't need leads to live on, right? The nature of their business is they are creative hunters, right? They go out and they see our pest control customers with no termite, and they see our new PC starts, and they run their re-inspections. And that's kind of the lion's share. That's kind of the, I guess, the day in, day out work that makes these folks successful, and they're really good at it.
Right.
And what I want to talk today about is introduce, there's a lot of new folks. We've hired a lot of new folks. So sometimes we get hung up in that rut. And I know I did as a salesperson, where I would get into that PC, no TC route, and I'd get into just running re-inspections. And I would forget about all these, what I consider to be really valuable, overlooked prospecting sources. So I want to introduce some of those and just kind of kick those around a little bit today and talk about mastering the upsell, right? This mastering the upsell goes, when you talk, the one chapter in here is focused on essentially deals you didn't get, right? Mining the losses, right? So let's talk about mining their losses and how they can chase that kind of business and why that's so effective.
Okay, let me give you a framework. I think it's important. So if you think about business in general, there's only 4 ways to grow your business, right? If you think about it as in 4 quadrants, one is to go out and gain new customers. Number 2 would be retention, holding on to existing customers. But 3 and 4 are interesting, is what we're going to talk about today. The third strategy is to grow your existing business, which is the upsell and the cross-sell. And then the 4th quadrant is where you re-engage people who didn't buy or stopped buying. And I think it's kind of interesting to look at it that way. So we can upsell, cross-sell. Again, we already have them, let's just go sell them more. But then there's people who stopped buying or didn't buy for whatever reason. And it's how do we re-engage them? And that's what we want to talk about today. So where do you want to begin with these strategies?
Let's start with the proposals that they maybe made last spring, last summer. You know, stuff that's just sitting there in a file, sitting in your iPad that you haven't touched in a while, right?
Right, and some of these proposals, they didn't go with a competitor, and this is important to know. Maybe they didn't go with a competitor, they just didn't make a decision, which means it's still there for the pickings.
Absolutely, and I think that's a very valid point to make. It's not like it's a termite lead, right? You think about all the PC notices that you pitch preventative services to, right?
Right.
They typically don't buy from somebody else. They just don't buy.
Correct.
And they just haven't bought from us yet.
Right.
And talk about serving those back up and getting back in front of those folks.
So it's again, if you think about 2 years ago, there's a study that came out that on average you'll close 40% of your deals. You won't close 60%. And when they looked at the 60%, 20% went to your competitor, but 40% were no decisions. So that means that your biggest competitor is not your competitor who only got 20%. Your biggest competitor is people who just didn't make a buying decision. So what I would do is go back through your database. Who did I bid? Who did I propose? And maybe, let's just say one every day, let's go visit one of those proposals again. Let's reach out to them and say, what did you end up doing?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think you almost set up, for lack of a better word, a time block to do that. You know, set some time aside to just call those folks, and you'll find out when, I was thinking about calling you.
Yeah.
Or I was doing this, or I was doing that. And you have to, again, try to create that urgency again.
I love the way you say, you remind people about time boxing.
Yeah.
And so, once you define time boxing.
Well, I mean, just setting time in your schedule for an hour, I'm going to call these overlooked prospecting sources to try to find places to go.
So we can just say, from 2 to 3, whatever it may be, 2 to 3 p.m., people who I proposed but didn't buy, I'm going to take this moment during the day to call them.
Yeah.
And maybe make, 3 to 5 calls every single day within that time box.
Absolutely. Just to find places to go. In addition to the folks that didn't buy.
By the way, I love that phrase, just to find places to go. Let's fill our time. Let's, just fill it.
Think about being able to get back out. Yeah, come back out. Hey, I want to take another look at that.
Yep.
You had a little something going on there. Let me see if it's gotten any worse.
Yeah.
Give me 15 minutes to come kick around your attic or kick around your crawl space.
Any reason to come back.
Any reason to come back.
I want to ask you about this mindset sometimes. When people are looking to go back, they go, well, I'm going back because I really want to sell them more. That's part of the mindset, right? And I think people should shift that mindset. No, I'm going back just to make sure everything's okay.
Absolutely.
And maybe there's something else that I missed.
Amen.
2 different mindsets. You want to add anything to
No,
that?
I sent, and believe it or not, I sent a message out last night about going back and who your best sales manager is. It's a current customer, somebody that bought from you. But at the same time, when we talk about that going back, I think we need to focus on getting your foot back in the door. Right. Getting your foot back in the door. I think that's all we're trying to do there.
Right.
Just get.
But maybe because again, I want to position it from the value perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not going back just to sell you something.
Yeah.
I'm going back because maybe I want to. I get an update, right?
Yeah.
And 2, again, did I miss something? And maybe I can offer you something that I didn't offer you before. So I'm really trying to help the homeowner.
Absolutely. And you think about it, the season is upon us, right? I mean, so people they're hearing about bugs. So hey, let me come back and check that.
Yep.
If it was a moisture deal, why not go back and get? Let me get you some new readings on that. Let's see if it's getting any better or any worse.
Right.
You decided not to do anything at that point in time. Find any way to get back into that door.
Yep.
So I think unsold proposals, that's what we kind of call them here, are incredibly valuable as an overlooked source that we don't chase. I think one of the most, in my mind, I know that, at least as a salesman, when I was doing this for a living, cutting my teeth, knocking on doors and trying to find termite sales, canceled services, either canceled pest control customers or canceled termite customers, folks that let us go, folks that most of the time when they leave us, it's not because they hate us, it's just because they let us go. Right. It didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, Victor, let me stop by. And you had termite service with us. I see you let it go a year, 2, 3 years ago. Let me stop by and make sure everything's just okay. Give you a complimentary look at that. make sure things are still okay.
Right, because some people have the mindset, not to interrupt that, but some people have the mindset, okay, I'm not seeing anything, why am I still paying for it? Absolutely. And then they start seeing it again, and then maybe they haven't picked up the phone to make that call, and there you are to make that call.
Yeah, and the same thing I always called residential PC cancels. Because most of the time they just quit because they get tired of us. You know, they don't see it in the budget.
Right.
But this time of year, bugs are flying all over the place, right?
Right.
Hey, this is Ed over at Orkin. I see you canceled your service. Again, work out a script. Like, you canceled your service.
Right.
You know, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Like to get that started back up for you. Let me come out and take a look at it. Let me see how things are going. Any way back in. I think the canceled account was, in my mind, the most valuable for me to get in, outside of the PC, no TC, and the reinspection.
Right. Was
the one that I found the most value in. And I tell a story in a video that I share about listening to a guy. We were sitting around the office one night. This was a service manager sitting around the office, and we're pre-listing. You know, the termite guys and I are making lists, and the service manager's making calls. At that time, we did farm fly service, where we sprayed barns to reduce the flies to make the milk production go up. Right?
Makes sense.
It worked like crazy. I don't know why we don't do it anymore, but we don't. But so this guy was in there. We're all sitting around the room. You know, we're in a bullpen, right? We're making phone calls, and this customer is just chewing this guy out. I mean, he's holding the phone out here. You know, just I mean, we can hear the customer. We're dying laughing. We're rolling, right? And he hangs up the phone and he gets up to leave. And we're all busting his chops. We're like, where are you going, Gordon? Oh, I'm going home. I'm going home. No, I said, where you're going home? You had enough. And he goes, no. He said, I'm going to see that customer. I said, what are you talking about? He said, I'm going to see that customer.
Interesting.
That customer's so mad at us. I want to go stand on his doorstep and let him holler at me face to face. You know what the dang guy did? He came back with the contract.
Okay.
Right? You know,
I love it.
So I'd almost rather have a customer that's mad as a hornet at us when I call him about a cancel. Let me, man, that's not us. Let me come out and take a look at it. We fired you for pest control because you didn't show up. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. You didn't kill my bugs. You know, that's not working. Mr. Victor, let me come talk to you.
I was going to say, so moment of dissatisfaction has to be a moment for satisfaction to actually win the business back.
It gives you a chance to be the hero.
Absolutely,
and
man.
fix it.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
So again, you got the proposals that didn't buy.
Right.
You got all the cancels. The pest control and the termite cancels are just gold.
Right.
And I think another one that gets often overlooked, and Roger Kennedy made a killing at this. Okay. So we go out and we see all these new starts. But we rarely go to the new starts that Jeff and April's team sells a one-time service to.
Right.
Maybe they sell a bee job for $250.
Right.
Or they sell a flea job. I don't think our HSIs really jump at the chance to go chase that one as much as they do a rodent start.
Right.
But Roger Kennedy made a living out of going back to the one times. Hey, I saw we did a bee job for you, a couple days ago, Victor. Let me swing by and take a look at that. What customer is going to say no? Right. And then he worked his way into the house, into a whole home inspection. And I mean, that dude hung $12,000, $20,000 bundles on one-time services that often get overlooked. And I think almost, I don't know if any of the HSIs would agree with me, but I think it's one that we just typically don't think and go chase.
Yeah. I mean, as you're saying that, so going back to your time block, you got proposals, right, that didn't go anywhere. Yeah. You got cancellations, and you got your 1Xers, which is one services. So would you build a cadence and a time block around that if it were you to do?
I would. Okay. I would. Yeah, I mean, they're busy as heck. They're chasing their tails around. Sure. But, squirrel away some time, because we all know that the only reason you're going to fail here is you don't have enough places to go. Right. You don't have enough places to go. And I hear the managers all whine about the pre-lists aren't full. I don't understand that with all the sources that we have. But again, I'm not out there day to day like these folks are. Squirrel away that time to find that. And I think you'll find, just think if you just picked up a couple sales off of that. Yeah. I bet you if you got the canceled pest control list of the business that cancels, that canceled in May. Right. If you dialed through those, you would rewrite 4 or 5 of those contracts without even having to go out there. Yeah. Or you find some of those folks that are just crazy unhappy. Victor, let me come on out. That is not what we do. Right. That is not what we do. Yeah. Let me see what happens.
I'm so with you on the unhappy customer and going to visit them. Yeah. They're not expecting you to show up. Yeah. They're thinking you're going to run from, which is what most people would do. Yeah. But going there, being there, and by the way, they're going to tell somebody else that.
Absolutely. The Orkin guy came back out and fixed it.
He actually came out here. Yeah. Yeah. Let me get that guy.
So I mean, it's just us saying. I'm just trying to make sure we got all the notes covered because I think. Mine on the losses. I think, and again, mastering the upsell. For the first 10 folks that put it in the chat that they want the book, I got about 20 of them sitting on my shelf, and we'll get them out to you that way. Anything else?
That was it. Those 3 things.
I think that's it. So again, just a reminder, it's the overlooked prospecting avenues that you can get to. If you haven't mined any of those, if you haven't done any of that, get after that, try that, put your toe in the water and see what happens. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the results of that. Okay. Let's do a little housekeeping, Victor. By gosh, hydrate.
Yes.
You're out climbing around attics. You're climbing in crawl spaces. You know, I saw some highlights the other day of baseball players dropping, like major league athletes, professional athletes. The one dude just like fell over. The other dude for Cincinnati was, you know, he was thrown up all over the field because he hadn't hydrated. These are professional athletes that are forced to hydrate, and they're losing gas.
I mean, I can feel the liquid leaving my body.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just horrible, yeah.
So hydrate. And more importantly, hydrate your pros and your techs. Get your butts out in front of those jobs they're doing and bring them a case of Gatorade. Yeah. Take care of them. Make them know you give a dang about them. Get after that. So that would be that.
Yep.
Another housekeeping tip for the REC contest is about to end, right? Here's the rules. Here's what counts. Here's what will get counted and put into your bucket. This is for all of the salespeople and all the managers as well. The business must be submitted to REC by July 3rd. They're extending it a couple of days. So by July 3rd, you got to have all those contracts in and submitted. Don't try to get credit for something after the 4th. Don't come to the office on Monday and say, I want to get credit for that. These contests are so close right now. I mean, this one deal could be the difference of you going or not going. I mean, that's how close these contests are.
Love it.
So get those submitted. The other thing that's going to happen is that that Power BI report that exists out there right now today on Rollins One that a lot of you guys are tracking, guys and gals are tracking your REC results. That's going to be shut down at the end of the month so they can tally up all the winners. That won't populate back up until July 17th when they post all the winners, both the branches, the regions, the divisions, and the individual sales winners. So get your stuff in there, get it tracked. It's got to be submitted by July 3rd. Don't miss that date. There's no mulligans. That's the end. They've done that liberty of extending this.
No mulligans.
No mulligans. No mulligans. On a personal note, you folks that are responding to my messages at night, I really do appreciate it. It means a lot. It kind of keeps the motor going. I think I'm up to day 62 on this fourth round of 100. So that keeps me going. So feel free, if you don't know how that works, I blind copy everybody on it. If you respond, it'll only go to me. So don't worry about your boss seeing something you want to say to me, any of that kind of stuff. But it kind of keeps the motor running and keeps my gear going. And to end this, Victor, you have not seen this yet. But this thing went viral. This thing went viral.
All right.
So there's a new salesperson up in Raleigh. His name's Henry Warner, North Raleigh.
Is this a real story?
This is a real story. You're going to see the video in a minute. You're going to die. Henry Warner's a new salesperson up there, and he's sitting in a class with his RSM, Mike Markham. Mike Markham, you've met a bunch of times. He was in our very first advanced class down here in Atlanta. Mike Markham got promoted to RSM in January. So Mike's holding this class. And just flat out, any of y'all that know Mike, he is, without a doubt, I can see all your faces. He's the prettiest orc and termite salesman to ever walk the planet. And he's got these shiny white teeth, right? And back in the day when he was in sales,
he's got the ivories.
He's got the ivories. But I mean, he was President's Club, Chairman's Club, REC, all those trips. Superstar, right?
One of those.
Moved into management. I'd kill me for letting him go into management.
Right.
But back in the day when he was a termite salesman, my man drove a Lamborghini. So the salesman in the class said, hey, how much money can I make here? And Mike said, well, you know, you can do whatever you want. He said, what if I wanted to buy a fancy car? He said, I drove a Lamborghini as a salesman. You can do that too. So based on that, this Henry Warner has some skills.
Right.
He's got some rapping skills. He's got some writing skills. So he put together this rap that then was sent to me. It went viral on their group me. And then Ben, our guy Ben, put a little finishing touches on it. Wait till you see it.
This better be good. All right.
So let's cut to, they're going to trail that out of here.
All right.
Lambo Mike coming at you.
Lambo Mike, pull up to the cell with the teeth all white. Kinda like the shirt, red diamond shine bright. About to close the deal, 30 stacks on sight. Yeah, that's right. Lambo Mike, pull up to the cell with the teeth all white. Kinda like the shirt, red diamond shine bright. About to close the deal, 30 stacks on sight. Yeah, that's right. Pull up in a lamb chop. We making bands, 100,000 on a month. We making sales, guillotine the competition. We impale, President's Club, J chillin' under azaleas. And I ain't talking about Iggy. Check the pre-list, bae. The week looking busy. Killing bugs, excluding rodents. We know around the city. Crawling attic restoration, make your property pretty. I promise. Shawty, can I be honest? Don't try to play the bug, man. We be patting our pockets. Can't stop, never flop to the top like a rocket. Like auto organ is automatic, just cash the deposit. Just cash it. Let me switch up the topic. Push the problem, sell the pain, keep it playing polished. Leave the haters astonished. Look at what we accomplished. Stepping on the next determined next inflection. You got it? I spray a op with a BNG. Do it easily. Bait them all, leave them all deceased. Bodies in the streets. Protect your crowd. Install new insulation. That's R19. Centricon, get the termites gone. PC, no TC. Yeah. Raise it to the roof like Ridge Guard. New tap in the attic. Know them insects won't get far. Dry zone, protect your home when you crawl flooded like Noah's Ark. RIC on everything. Run that credit card. Make sure to dish out them leaves. Get your organ inspection and it's no extra fees. Pest seal and sanitize, baby, that's what you need. Insect and rodent free, that's a guarantee. Lambo Mike. Pull up to the cell with the teeth all white. Kinda like the shirt, red diamonds shine bright. About to close the deal, 30 stacks on site. Yeah, that's right. Lambo Mike. Pull up to the cell with the teeth all white. Kinda like the shirt, red diamonds shine bright. About to close the deal, 30 stacks on site. Yeah, that's right.